Hi everyone, so I'll be continuing where I left off with coding the map, the recorded map generator. I'm going to write an article today, and I think that will take probably about 4 hours or so. So the map controller that was improved upon had a couple of issues. Primarily, if I increase the size of the map, we will get incomplete spawns. And if I were to increase the size even further, you will see the gaps get larger. So that is what I'm looking to fix at the moment. Everything in between doesn't get spawned, and that's a bit of a problem, you know. So we want this map generator to work across all camera sizes. So we're gonna have to jump into the map controller to have a look at the logic again. How's the game looking like? Game looks like, well, it's a little difficult to show everything right now. I can show you from the beginning how this looks like. So the game starts from the title. So we have like a camera moving around. So right now I'm working on the map generation script. But so you jump into different screens and you have different characters that you can choose from. Different levels that you can choose from as well. And the game is basically working. So here I'm just working on a side script for the map generation, which is covered in part 2. But you know, there's room for improvement, right? So there's a whole leveling system that's working, and we have a spawn system as well. So the longer you survive, the more enemies appear, and there'll be different kinds of enemies. There are mobs as well. I'm trying to catch this mob here. It's a little difficult to do it. So if you're new to programming, I would say this is a great place to start learning. Firstly, because Vampire Survivors is a very simple game. And I mean, even the simplest games, because if you say have 100 weapons, for example, right, scaling any game becomes very difficult, and that is why you want to start learning game development with a simple game first. That's my recommendation. So I can show you the back end as well. What we have in the back end, the weapon system is organized into a bunch of scriptable objects, and then you have, if you look at this part of the screen over here, this is basically how the weapons are configured. You can configure how they level up. You can configure various things for the weapon, like how fast the projectile flies, how many projectiles spawn, whether the projectiles pierce through enemies, and so on. I mean, all this is covered in the series. It's a pretty long series. Right now we're standing at 27 parts, but it's something that if you go through the whole of the series, you will pick up quite a few things. So definitely recommend you selling my own product here, but definitely recommend you checking it out if you're interested in doing that. Hope I answered your question. I mean, it's 2D game, you know, so performance is never really an issue. So in Vampire Survivors, how the enemy number is handled, right? It's basically they limit the number of enemies to 300. And what else? So it's also, you know, when the map generator, I mean, there are various things that you can do. The performance is never really an issue in my opinion. But so for example, if you see me moving through the map, right? I'm just gonna, as I move through the map, you will see, as my player moves through the map, you will see the map actually despawns and spawns accordingly. See that? So that's one thing that you can do, and you will see the enemies, right? Let me just zoom in a little bit more. The enemies themselves, they kind of, when they leave the camera, they just get despawn and respawn. So it just gives the illusion that there are a lot of enemies, but actually they aren't. I mean, there are enemies that don't despawn as well, like for example, the flower wall never despawns. But this is just a whole system where, you know, I mean, like every game is like that, right? They just play sleight of hand with you and they hide things that are not needed. But this is a 2D game, so really the optimization techniques are not as important. If that makes sense, because 2D games are like much faster to render. Whereas if you're doing like say a 3D version of Vampire Survivors, then the optimization becomes much more important. I realize the optimization thing is something that a lot of people ask questions about. Maybe I can make a short video on that. It really isn't that big of a problem, but that's the most common question I get. Which makes sense. I mean, like Vampire Survivors does a very good job of making you feel like a lot of things are happening in the screen, right? No problem, man. Thanks for hopping into the stream. It's mainly just me coding. Like if I go on stream, I will code much more efficiently without getting distracted. You know, nowadays everyone has TikTok brain, and me included, right? Like I'll be coding and I'll just see a video on YouTube on my other screen, and then after that, that's when I start getting carried away doing something else. So being on stream, you can't really do that, right? So that's a great way to stay focused on work. And talking to viewers is just a plus. It's also, you know, talking to viewers gives me ideas of what you guys are interested in as well, which tells me what kind of video I need to, like what kind of video I can create moving forward. Yes, I was just talking to a friend. I think the sound is a little loud, right? Let me just unpause it. I was speaking to a friend. You know, I'm near the age where I'm gonna start having kids as well, and my friend was saying that he gave his first kid an iPad, and then that kid has trouble focusing. So his second kid, he stopped distracting the kid with an iPad or some kind of screen, right? And I mean, like, I would think that raising a kid would be much easier if you just throw them a screen and let the screen entertain them. And of course, otherwise you need to constantly be entertaining your kid, and I think that's gonna be pretty tough. I mean, I can't code if my kid is constantly trying to get my attention. So the whole being a father thing is, I mean, when I think about it, you know, like it's a little scary. Are you a parent as well? Or are you going to be a parent, or do you have nephews? I probably would just throw the caretaking of the kid to my wife, or like get a nanny or something. I think that would be so much easier. Send my kid to boxing class. It depends on whether it's a male or female kid. Enjoy your life, man. All my friends who married in their 20s, they tell me like, bro, don't get married. Like everyone tells me like, bro, don't get married, man. Like, enjoy your life for a few more years. 32 sounds good. 32 sounds great. So I'm just looking through my code right now because the last time I touched this was last week. So I'm just trying to recall, I'm just writing comments to help myself remember what I was doing here. Handle chunks spawn. I guess that's the privilege of living in a developed country. Like everyone's getting married late. I mean, if we were living in, say, I don't know what countries are undeveloped. Maybe Africa or India. Maybe their marriage ages are lower. Real careful about what countries I list, right? Because I haven't been around a lot, so I've only been to first world places. No chunks, no map spawn. I'm from Singapore. That's near Indonesia. We are 2 hours away from Bali, so we are 2 hours away from paradise. Argentina is in South America, right? Argentina, isn't it? Your minister is Javier Milei, right? Is that the guy? I've heard about him, and he seems to be he seems to be a brave guy. You know, he speaks his mind. I don't know his policies. I've only seen him appear in the news. And well, I tend to believe the opposite of what the news says. So if the news tells you this guy is great, then probably, you know, maybe he's not that great. But if the news keeps shitting on someone, then I will tend to look into the guy a little bit more. And the news has shed on your guy, on your prime minister, quite a bit. So I like him just based on what the news says. Like, we're living in a world where if the news says someone is good, then you gotta ask whether if that's the truth. But if the news says someone is bad, then probably he's doing something right. Country. Funny world we live in. I would imagine I would imagine I would imagine so, because all around the world, whoever the news shits on, actually, you know, they all do a pretty good job with whatever they're pushing for, but it's just not, you know, like people don't focus on that, or rather the news doesn't focus on people. I think people do see that, but the news doesn't focus on that. I mean, in Europe, you have a bunch of politicians who are more pro their own countries as well, and then they're all shat on by the news, right? I mean, you have the AFD in Germany, and you have in France, you have Marine Le Pen, right? She did pretty well as well, and then she came under a lawsuit or something. And I thought that media was promoting like women in power, and then, you know, you had a lesbian woman in AFD. And then you had Marine Le Pen, who's like, I mean, they're both like girl bosses, right? News hates them. Media hates them. 25%, that's 25% a month. 25% a month is crazy, man. Then that means what? You have like 300% a year? How do you guys survive over there, man? I'm glad that, you know, like, even in, you know, in streams like these, I get to meet people who are more, you know, because just 3 years ago, 4 years ago, you wouldn't imagine having this kind of thing wasn't mainstream, right? Like, it wasn't mainstream to talk about how these politicians who are more pro their own country might be good people, and now it's more okay to talk about it. 25% is crazy, man. I wish you all the best. Glad that Javier is leading the charge now. I mean, it's the inflation thing, it's just all by design, you know. Like, I don't think that it's by accident, and it doesn't benefit the average person, and that's why it's happening. Like, whenever inflation happens, the losers are like us, right? The peasants. And policy is always geared towards benefiting the people who are richer. That's awesome, man. That's glad to hear. I'm glad to hear that. So you're a software dev, which means that you earn money from the internet, right? So you earn in USD. I imagine that's why you're doing better. I guess we are lucky, right? Like, you know, like I went IT out of just passion, and it pays pretty okay. I mean, of course, if I were to choose, I would be a banker or something, you know. Be a banker, go to Wall Street, just rip people off, scam people. You know, like when I was, after growing up, then, you know, that I realized that that's what makes money. Like, so my cousin, right, was having a conversation with her daughter, and the daughter was like saying like, "Mom, how do I get rich?" And then the dad came in and said, "Well, if you want to get rich, you either gotta join the government or you gotta be a criminal." And that was coincidentally the same thing I said to the daughter. I'm not sure how true it's at, but I was surprised that my cousin's husband thought the same thing. So we're lucky we can earn, you know, like IT is such a great thing. You know, what do you do? What kind of software do you develop? Oh yeah. The currency in Argentina after all the inflation must be pretty bad, right? Like, I mean, to see things go up 3 times in a year. I mean, in Singapore we went up Like we went up like everything 2x in a year during COVID. So that was pretty awful. Android. So you work on Android Studio, right? Or do you use a different platform like Ionic or like Angular? If I were to do Android apps, it would be in Unity, man, because I don't know how to. I mean, I know XML and I know Java, but to learn the entire API is a bit more challenging. Okay, sounds familiar. But I only teach, so I teach. My main job actually is lecturing. I lecture part-time and I actually don't do games for a living. I do full stack web development. So websites, launching websites, hosting websites for clients. So I teach Java, but just Java without Android Studio, you know. So I've heard of Kotlin, but I haven't tried it. I work for a couple of companies, just teaching in Singapore institutions, so like some universities, but it's just part-time, so I go in when the semester is in session and I just run in and teach and I lead. So then this YouTube thing is just under my own company that does full stack web development as well. So Unity and game dev was how I started, because I wasn't interested in programming. I was interested in making games when I was young. So I started modding Warcraft. I used to play Dota a lot, and I was creating new moves and new animations for Dota. So that was how I got started. I went and joined a game dev course, and that was where that was where my programming got leveled up to a stage where I was able to make a living with it. Because you know, making games, it requires you to learn coding very quickly, right? Because I mean, it's games are like some of the most difficult softwares to create. So making games, like going to a games course, is what taught me the programming, because I just had to do projects. And then after I finished game dev, the course, I realized that it took up too much time. So I moved to doing full stack instead, because you can still have a life doing full stack, but if you wanted to do games, then just there is no life, right? It's just crunch and crunch and crunch. And that's my story. So if you're teaching in game dev, then you don't have to do the games yourself. I mean, I teach game dev as well. I teach programming, I teach game dev, and database, you know, just full stack stuff and game dev stuff. But I don't actually make the games myself, unless you count the tutorials, which I can do in my own time. So then I don't have to crunch everything out in 3 months or 6 months. You know, whenever I'm free, I'll hop onto a stream and just start coding. How about you? How do you start with Android? Do you pick it up yourself? Was it something that when you were young, you played a mobile phone game and you were interested in it? Saw an app and you wanted to learn how to do it? I'm working on 3 things. First is the map controller, which I'm going to write a post about. Second is So Vampire Survivors has a save system, right? And I recently released the save system on the Unity Assets Store. This is the save system. So this save system here, I haven't done a lot of marketing for it, but it's there, and it's designed to make it easy for anyone to create saves for their game. So I'm gonna work this into Vampire Survivors series as well. I mean, this is a little harder to use. Like, a much more popular asset I have is the virtual joystick pack. This one gets more views. I'm not sure how much money it's made. I sell kit extensions to this. But the save system one is, yeah, I'm looking to integrate that into the Vampire Survivor series. And third is I want to experiment with the multiplayer features in Unity 6. So I'm glad that I'm getting more views now, because the last time I checked it was just 200 something. Wow, you started really young, man. So the monetization is I sell paid skins. It's basically just a way for people to donate, you see. I mean, the asset itself is free, because I mean, if I just didn't see how I could market this if it was paid, because you gotta try out the app, right, to understand how it works. And if it's paid, then you basically are just asking people to take a leap of faith, which I'm not willing to do. So then the paid skins are here, and I mean, for all the paid assets I have free versions as well. But this one seems to be the most popular so far. Go ahead. So you are purely an Android dev? Like, do you work for a company, or are you a freelance developer? Yes, that's the plan. It's much easier than that's the plan. So right now I'm creating tutorials, but you know, I'm not really a fan of having to churn out a video every well, it's supposed to be a few videos every month. But if I were to sell this as an engine, it would be much better than teaching you how to create it. Anyway, it's really hard to document everything as a tutorial as well. So something I thought about, and something that I want to execute. I'm doing a couple of things at the moment. So on the front of Unity, it's moving a little bit slow, because I'm only doing this once a week, like one day every week. I have interns who help me out, but I mean, I have to. It's not. I mean, I have a lot of things I want to do, and in an ideal world, I would have like 10 hands, like one of those Indian gods, then would be able to get more done. But unfortunately, I only have 2. So otherwise, 2 of my hands can type, and the other 2 can be gesturing or something. Wish I was 10 hands, maybe 20. Give me 20 hands. Be very happy. Have you thought about doing YouTube as well? Like, you know, you've started coding at 12, so you must be really good at it. I think I'm good at coding, so you must be good as well. Yeah, because I mean, I do have the time, but I do have to plan my time, because I have client work, I have teaching, and then I have sites that I run as well, you know. So all that just means that I'm constantly occupied with something. So it's either a client has like, say I have to onboard clients for hosting, I have to create websites for clients, doing HTML overlays for streaming for clients. I mean, I do all kinds of stuff. I mean, everything that's under the full stack umbrella I do. So, you know, like yesterday I woke up, and then suddenly my client calls and says, oh, my site is down, can you help me look into why? Or like, oh, my site has my clients can't log in, can you look into why? You know, so it's always like stuff like these. Or like suddenly a server crashes and I've got to go and handle it. Or like students have questions, they have bugs, and they text me. So it's all kinds of stuff, like just a lot of stuff always happening. I get you. The tech stuff, it takes a while to get the traction, like the, you know, like, because the big YouTubers, I mean, my feeling, I don't know if you feel the same way. My feeling is that the video will stay there for a long time, and it always gets watched, but the number of viewers isn't crazy. Like if you were to create like videos that take advantage of current trends or commentaries, I think they grab more views in a shorter amount of time. I don't have YouTube figured out, to be honest with you, so not the best person to ask. I'm just creating tutorials, and same as you. And the streaming is something that I'm just trying to figure out. At worst case, you know, like I quote stuff, get stuff done. Let me just go and drop you a sub. Dev Kuiper. Your covers are nice. I like your covers. Yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, probably won't get. Yeah, I don't speak Spanish, unfortunately. But you have some English videos as well, right? So videos take time to I mean, we can always I guess we can always create clickbait and stuff, but it's not my kind of content. My original plan was just to create a couple of videos that we watched forever and just leave it there. But it wasn't very well informed. Okay, I'm gonna get back to coding because I need to do a little bit of thinking because I forgot what my code actually does. So let me work that out. I think the auto translation is not a bad thing though. Like it allows us to reach a larger audience, right? I actually was I'm from Singapore, right? So in the region that I'm at, like everyone here speaks Malay, so I just started subtitling the videos in Malay to see if it reaches a bigger audience. But well, after that I didn't check the stats. And what motivates me to make videos, it's well, I mean, because this channel was started and it took a lot of work to get to 1,000 subscribers. So then once I got there, I realized, you know, like I'll just put in a bit of time every month to continue doing it, because otherwise it's just a waste of effort. I mean, it's there, right? It wasn't easy to come by. So if it gets somewhere, it gets somewhere. If it doesn't, then that's too bad, right? Find some other way to make money, like buying Bitcoin or something. So all the best to you as well. Thank you for popping in. I really enjoyed this conversation. I didn't expect you to be a YouTuber as well. I didn't expect you to be a fellow coder as well, who started like around the same time as I did. It's really cool. All the best. So now I've got to figure out the map generation stuff. So handle chunk spawning, it does. It finds the position that's supposed to spawn tiles for. Delta. Hi Note, nice to hear that. No problem. If you have any questions with any of the tutorials, or if you have any suggestions of any videos that you want to see, let me know about it. I'm boss this channel, so I can create anything. Thank you, thank you. I love you too. It's when in the beginning, especially when I had a lot less content and I wasn't sure. I mean, it's not like this is some big money-making endeavor, right? But at least you know I have some videos and like there is constant viewership. So you know I do get a little bit of money. But in the beginning, when like there was hardly any money, it was people telling me in the comments that hey, this video really helped me, that kept me going. In fact, it's what's keeping me going now, because there are other things I can do that makes more money, but I've started the channel, so I thought, hey, why not? When I have time, I'll just hop on and just do something, because it's what I enjoy doing this. So it's fun to code, and it's fun to talk about code. That's why I'm here. So I appreciate that you appreciate me. Thank you very much. I love you too. Nearest, what do we call that? So I've got to spawn anything along the way as well if it's not immediately one step away from where I am now. So that means I've got to track my current that will be just reference camera. Oh, oh. Nearest street. I'm gonna have to do some drawing here to figure this out. I can't figure out. I guess I can always use AI, but I wanna work on this on my own a little bit first because I don't know how to describe this to the AI as well. So now I have a gap when the camera is zoomed out because it only spawns everything on the edges. Thank you, thank you. So what tutorial are you watching? Are you following the Vampire Survivors one, or is it the Metroidvania? I think I just gotta go closer to the microphone and probably turn down the music as well. Let me do that. Yeah, I just gotta go closer to the mic because I'm a little far away from the camera. Which tutorial of ours are you following? Is it the Vampire Survivors one or is it Metroidvania one? Vampire Survivors. I just saw your message. So yes, part 15 is quite difficult. There's a lot of stuff going on in part 15. The inventories. Yeah, so when I was creating a tutorial, that was what I was worried about as well. Like the entire part was so difficult to create, man. Like, cause it was just it was just so much content, and I didn't know how to organize it. It took me like 3 months, and I was really stressed. It was stressful. It was a little depressing because it was just so much content, and I just had to keep going and going and going until I finished it. I mean, the creating the entire thing was one thing, and then having to write it down and explain it was a whole other challenge. I was surprised I managed to finish it. Like, it took me like 3 to 4 months to develop it. It's tough, man. It's difficult time of my life. It was one of the harder periods of my life. So everything after that isn't as challenging. For part 15 of the Metroidvania series, actually it was equally challenging. It was a save system, and goodness, that was so hard as well. Yeah, I was really excited when I created part 15 because I really, I mean, there are quite a few bugs with the part 15 code base, and you're gonna have to watch on to see what these bugs are. You can also check out the forums because the forums does document some of these bugs. And scalability was what I had in mind as well, because before part 15 the code base was honestly not very scalable, and I thought that there were a couple of things that we could do to make it better, and that was why I came out with part 15. Yes, I was very happy that it was much better than old system as well, and well, I'm just glad it's not 13, you know. So the save system was, well, I was talking to it about someone else earlier, and I don't know if you can see his messages, berries. So for part 15 of the Metroidvania series, I released an asset on Unity Asset Store. The saving is, I don't know how to start explaining it, but you have to turn all the game objects that you want to save into text files, and then you can choose to encrypt it as well if you wish. And then yeah, then you gotta read it, and then you've gotta account for, and you gotta do multi-threading as well, so you gotta read it on a separate thread. Otherwise, when you read the save file, the entire game hangs. I don't know if I'm sure you've played games where when you save, then the entire game hangs, right? So if you don't save it in an asynchronous manner, that's what will happen. So there are quite a few considerations, and this whole asset is still being tested. So yeah, there's a lot that goes on. You can use user prefs as well. Player pref, I think it's what you mean. You can use player prefs as well. But player prefs are not as it's not as flexible. There are things that you can't save in player prefs. So you can check out this asset if you're interested in getting an idea of how saving works. I have a very condensed video that I just realized I haven't put in here. You know what? Let me just go in there and put the video. So you can, I think on the channel, you can search for and find the video. I can't believe I didn't put the video up. I'll do that after the stream. But there is a recent video on the bench. There we go, this one. It summarizes how the save system works. Maybe I'll just put it up now in case I forget later. No, I haven't released the save system video for Vampire Survivors. But I do plan on creating a save system for it. I'll be using the same save system for Vampire Survivors, my asset. I realized a lot of, like, some of the codes that I've created for the assets can be reused. Let me just drop my own video into my asset. Can't believe I forgot to put it in. Yeah, that's the thing that what it's the best way to code, you know. I'm really glad you like part 15. Because when I was doing it, I was really afraid that people wouldn't be able to understand what's going on. Now, where was I? I've got a spawn chunks, right? I'm already stuck here now. I don't know what to do. You just go to paint and start drawing stuff. Oh yeah, it's just so the asset is it's just marketing materials. So the save system asset right now only has a couple of screenshots, right? So then if I add a video, then it makes it easier for people to understand what's going on. Because right now it's just cover and some screenshots. Not ideal, you know, it's not the best. So once I start decking out the marketing materials, I think everything is going to be a lot more awesome. Mention there's no chunks, no spawn chunks. Oh yeah, the multiplayer is gonna take a couple of months to come out, but yeah, that's gonna be another hard one. But I'm interested in exploring that as well. Actually, it's gonna be a really fun one. I think I've got an idea for an algorithm for the map controller here. But I'm just gonna think it out and I'm just gonna implement it because it's still not very clear on the logic yet. I won't be explaining what my thought process is. That's true. That's true. Multiplayer is something that you do as you develop. You do have to think about like your. You do have to think about that. But because this project is actually quite. I mean, Vampire Survivors is quite a simple game. So even without the pre-planning, right? Even without coding with the intention of turning it multiplayer, it still can work because you really only need to replicate the character's position with the game. If that makes sense, because in more complex games, multiplayer is about replication. It's about what game objects do you want to copy over to the other player. So there are a couple of ways that you can do that, and then you gotta keep that in mind when you are coding all your components. I'll have to look into the thing more to be able to I don't have a lot of experience coding multiplayer as well. I have a rough idea of how it works, but I've never actually made a multiplayer game. Unless you count, I've made a Pong game that's multiplayer before. that's the extent of my experience with multiplayer. But you're not wrong. You're right. You're right about that. Something that you have to start with. You have to start with multiplayer in mind. That makes the development process a lot easier. Peer-to-peer, it probably is. Well, I think it can be peer-to-peer, but if you want to support more than 2 players, then it shouldn't be peer-to-peer. It will be something else. It'll be like a server, and then you have like one of the players will be a server, and then the rest of the players will connect to the server. But yes, Pong was what I made. That was 10 years ago. So I have to recalc all the viewport points here. This will be challenging. Because what I'll have to do is to generate a list of positions. So what I can do, right, with this situation here is just to pick this number of I have to check the length of x and the length of y and then just tile everything. Man, that's gonna be a bit challenging. So then when I'm moving in certain directions, I only need to check left or right, up or down. That sounds about right. And no chunk spawning. Check without delta. So I'll have to have a hash set. Okay. Is multiplayer something that you can make into a component, or is it something that you have to code each time for every game? So Unity has a multiplayer component. It's called it's just called Unity Multiplayer, which makes our lives a lot easier. So there is no need to create an asset for it because they already have a module for that, and you just gotta make use of the module. So then the hardest thing about multiplayer is understanding how to handle the transfer of data between players. And how, but it gets very technical, but that's the fun part of it. While I enjoy the technical aspects of game dev more than making the games themselves. So I guess that's a good thing for me. Generate a list, check positions. So what I've got to do, right, is check the top of the screen and the bottom of the screen to get the length. I think I can write a function for that. Can I get right? minimum corner of the rect. Size. Min. Could I just get 2-piece position and basically reuse chunk script, generate chunk space? Oh, I never thought about the chunk generation, huh? That's yeah, you're right. So the chunk generation needs to be shared between both players as well. Something to think about. I never thought about that ever before. Because if we don't share the chunk information, right, that means that both players will have their own chunks. So you're right. The chunking will be something that I have to think about. Thank you for the heads up. You've thought a lot about this, haven't you? Because you managed to think about something that I've never hasn't crossed my mind before. So it's a really good point. It's getting me to start thinking about it as well now. I appreciate I appreciate you sharing this. So right now I'm just figuring out how to get the tiling to work when the camera is zoomed out. Because I'm just anal about getting everything to work perfect. I mean, I can always just zoom in the camera and pretend that everything is fine, but I don't want to do that. So now what I want to do is get a minimum point and a maximum point. That will be opposite. Why would I need? I mean, because this, if I'm gonna sell this as an asset, then this has to work. This has to work for everyone, right? So if someone decides to play around with the camera sizing, then it should work, even with the camera being zoomed out or zoomed in. Because even if you zoom out a little bit, then the thing actually breaks. So even if I zoom out just here, like to this around this size, it still breaks. Which really isn't a very good thing if I'm planning to sell this. How do I hide this thing? But yes, that is why I'm looking at doing making sure the camera works properly. I want to sell people a complete product, not some half-baked, half-assed piece of crap. So minimum point, maximum point. Now what I want to do is find size. So from here I can find the width. This max point x minus, and height, which is max point y minus min point. Oh, I can actually use a vector tool, right? Size, vector tool, size. Then I can just do a new vector tool. The X here and the Y right here. Then I wouldn't need to create a new thing. Unity get viewport. Is there a way to get? Is there a function for that already? Oh, there is. So the camera already has rect. And what am I doing that for? Oh, so what I'm thinking about doing, right, is basically, so I have this camera here. So then if my chunk size is 20, I'm just gonna measure the width. Let me just use a different. I'm just gonna measure the width over here, and then measure the height. So then each of the chunk sizes will be, let's say the chunk size here is 20 by 20, right? So I'll just draw squares like this. So once I get, for example, the width is, let's say 118, right? This means that there'll be 6 chunks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll just generate a bunch of points, and then the map will just check all these points that I draw axes on, and it'll just spawn a chunk there wherever there isn't a chunk. So that is currently what I'm thinking of, and I think that it'll work, but it's just a lot of math at this moment. The math is the actual details of it is the harder part. So once I get the logic out, I'll just throw everything into ChatGPT and let it work out the remaining logic. But still, you see, even with AI, right, there still needs to be planning. Like, we still have to plan out what we want to do first, because the AI doesn't always give us whatever that we want, and if we just dump the code onto AI like this, it may not be able to understand what we want to do. Yeah, the AI is good at math. I mean, like, you know, people are fighting AI, and I think it's not necessary, because AI can't do things that it's not trained on. If there is something that you want to create that hasn't been created before, the AI can't do it for you. So the AI should be a way for us to help us think faster. You know, we shouldn't really see it as an enemy. That makes sense. Like, I never thought AI was particularly dangerous. Where on the screen is camera rendered? So this is the camera rectangle, and what I want is the size. I'm just gonna call it get viewport world. I'll write post on this once I'm done, so that at least you can have a look at the post and see how I'm doing it. Yeah, AI is pretty awesome. I think if you're doing art, or if you're doing like writing, then it would be a little bit more scary. But I have a copywriting client who's saying like, oh, people are starting to hire copywriters again because they realize that whatever AI writes doesn't really cut it, you know. Because it's you can't tell that it's AI, and that's why clients are coming back to using actual people. Get world rep on the report. Performance camera. Reference camera mod. So now that we have the wall drag from the viewport, let's slice this up. Okay. Get check. So now we can gen everything. First, start by getting the rect. View area. This will be rect report. Then we'll need a vector 2 integer. This will be how view area dot width divided by chunk size x. And we actually want to round it up. Cannot convert from float to integer. Settings page handling different resolutions and save states will be. Hey, if you run into any issues along the way, do drop a post in the forums. I'll be more than happy to help you. So the settings and everything, yes, it's pretty troublesome, and I could release a video to talk about it. That would be helpful. But the problem is always the content, right? Like, where do we start? What do we do with the content? Like, the writing of the content is the hardest. But do let me know your questions, because your questions, right, will tell me what kind of videos are needed. So it's gonna be super helpful for me if you can condense whatever questions you have or whatever problems you have into a post. That would be the best. That would be the most helpful. Where is the best place to put questions? The best place to do so will be under our forums. Let me just post a link for you. Best place to post your questions. Min point, max point, max point, max here. So then we have a use a have set. Let's put a have set. We have a have set here. So set two. So here this will have to be a nested for loop that starts with I 0 y 0 y less than compound of y. Y so this would be view area minimum. Sorry, view area minimum plus I think I've got it, but we have to see whether the results add up. Here we should return result to array. And then instead of using viewport points here, we'll do a check. Alright, let's see. Fingers crossed, I'm hoping this works. If it doesn't, I'll just go get myself some caffeine before I come back. Right now, it just doesn't work entirely. It's totally broken now. It's totally broken. Totally broken. Totally broken. So I'll just check everything one by one. Let's start here. So it's a width of 60 and a height 36. If I change the viewport, this should change size. Height doesn't seem to be changing though. Just the width is the one that's changing. So maybe something is wrong. Let me check the camera rec as well. Print reference. That should just say 0011, not wrong. Regardless of what the actual numbers are. 0011, there we go. That's right. Awesome. Let me have a look. So I'll have a look after the stream and I'll respond to your question. Just quickly have a look at it. Questions for building a production. I guess parts I'm most scared of are the things that are persistent between game launches and the situations where players are changing the camera in unexpected ways, particularly the camera. I can quickly cover the camera portion because the camera portion right here, right? The simplest way to handle the camera is basically to go to your other settings over here, and then you can actually play around. Sorry, it's resolution and presentation. So let me just show you where to get to this window. Go to edit and then to project settings. So well, that was unexpected. So now you can I guess you're gonna have to find something else to have for dinner or breakfast or lunch. Where are you from? Okay, anyway, so regarding the resolution, right? So if you go to edit and then you go to project settings, you will be able to find under player here. There is a resolution and presentation section that you can play around with. And the interesting thing here is that you can set aspect ratios for your game. From the United States. Awesome country. The cradle of civilization as we know it today. At least after 1776. I mean, I've been looking into the history of the US and I think that, you know, the country breaking away from the British was a really good thing, because I mean, like, it's the whole thing about freedom, right? I don't want to, I don't know how much I should get into all of this stuff, but the British and the colonialism thing wasn't gonna be very good for the world. And I mean, today we kind of have that as well, and Okay, I'm not gonna get into politics. It's dangerous territory. Let's continue talking about this. So you can play around with the aspect ratios right here, and then you can also go to window and you can set a resolution for your game as well. So let's say if your UI, right, is designed for, let's say, a 16:9 or 16:10 resolution, then you can just check correspondingly. Let's say you only want to support widescreen, and you can just check 16:9 here, or you can set this to window and then just set a resolution for it. So once you are done preparing the resolution for your game, the next thing you want to do, right, is to look at what's that, the canvas here, and then under the canvas scaler, right, you want to make sure that your reference resolution is 16:9. So these are the two main things that you want to make sure you do before you export your game. So in parts 17 and 18, right, I also cover a little bit about UI design, because in the older parts, when you do the result screen and everything else, right, like there wasn't a lot of attention given to making everything responsive. But if you look at the later parts, the UI is made as responsive as possible. Like if I change the size, you notice that the text size changes, and then the box also changes. Even the inventory slots here change, and this is all by design. It's not by accident that they change like that. Unity does have some restrictions when it comes to getting things responsive. That's why they released the UI toolkit. So I also have a video that covers that. It's pretty old. It's a UI video. Talks about how to make sure a UI is maximally compatible. So the problem with UI is that no matter what you do, right, it's probably not going to adapt to everything. So for example, if you build for a 16:9 screen, right, it's never going to be able to adapt to mobile unless you specifically account for that. And that is why Unity came out with the UI toolkit that is in Unity 6. I haven't really looked into that, and I haven't looked into how it works. Let me just find the UI video for you. I don't remember where I put it. I think it's somewhere above. So this proportionate sprite borders with 9 slicing, this one is pretty important. Let me find the other one. Adaptive. The word. This one. This was 2 years ago. Not a lot of views, but I would say this is actually really important if you're designing stuff on Unity and you want it to be maximally compatible. You can have a look at that as well. I will respond properly to your post later on here. But thank you for the question. And well, with politics, you know, like the reason why I didn't want to say too much is I actually like Trump, but he's controversial, you know, and I think it often starts a lot of unnecessary. I mean, even in Singapore, talking about him, it starts a lot of unnecessary discussions. I mean, because we are that far away from the US, right? That whatever happens there, there's no need for people to fight just because you believe in one side or the other. But I'm a Trump guy, and I understand how controversial that can be. I think it was more controversial the past couple of years, and now it's at least in Singapore, it's not as big of a taboo now. So let me know if you have any further questions. I really appreciate your support, and I'll help you wherever I can. Awesome. So I hope you managed to clean up your situation with the quail eggs. The quail The quails, their deaths were wasted, but it's okay. You can, you have to get something else, like chicken maybe, chicken eggs. Why were you microwaving the eggs? Like just did your girlfriend just put the entire egg into the microwave? I never had a lot of experience with microwaves, but I always thought that they were amazing, like just how fast they worked. I've heard of certain things that you don't put in a microwave, but I'm not an expert on that as well. If I was in her situation, I might have exploded the eggs as well, because it's just so convenient, right? Like I only have a toaster at home, and the worst egg related incident I had was I mean, sometimes when you crack the egg, then the eggshells are very thin, right? So when you crack them, sometimes they explode, and like when I boil them, like sometimes when I cook noodles, and I'll have to break the egg and put it in. Sometimes they explode in my hands, and that's pretty messy. So I can only imagine how, I mean, it's gonna be quite a hassle, right? If you put the quail eggs into the microwave and they explode all over the oven, it's just gonna be a lot of cleaning. And if they're hardened, then it's just gonna scrape it off the walls, and I think that would be pretty frustrating too. But hey, that's life. It's first world problems, right? So I'm trying to figure out what's going on with the code here. The logic is a little off. One question before you go to bed: putting all rigid body 2D to interpolate looks much better, but I'm worried it's expensive too. I can explain to you what interpolate does. I've done it for the player movement, so the camera is much smoother. That's very good. Have you seen? I have a really old article about interpolate. Maybe I can just talk about that right there. I hope you managed to clean up the quail situation, or rather your girlfriend managed to do it. Like I mean the cleaning would be because I cook eggs a lot. I cook eggs a lot as well, and eggs are really hard to clean, man. Hope your situation there is handled. So this article right here, let me just link you, because if you understand what interpolate does, I think it'll be helpful so that you can decide for yourself whether it's something that would be expensive for you to do. I think that for interpolation, you only need to do it on the player character. You don't have to do it for any other any of the enemies and whatnot, because interpolation, right, is mainly used to fix. There is another article I have. It's for jittery camera movement. So these are two articles that you can check out. So you only need to interpolate the main character so that you don't get the jittery movement for the main character. So the reason why this jittering happens, right, is because Unity has two timelines. It has the main timeline and it has the physics timeline. And this is not like the Avengers level multiple timelines thing. It's just physics is handled in a different way than the graphics is. So the physics is always updated in regular intervals, whereas the graphics timeline, right, it's dependent on your frame rate. So then whenever you render something, right, Unity actually gets the position from the previous physics update, which is not your latest position, and interpolate will shift in such a way, right? So when you use interpolate or extrapolate, either one of them, what happens is that instead of using the position, one of the positions from the physics timeline, it would actually average between the 2 points here and find a point in the middle, and that allows for more for smoother movement. It really isn't that expensive. So if you put it on everything, it's fine as well. But if you really want to optimize things, then interpolating or extrapolating the main character would be enough. So you can check out the article for more information. And if you so once you apply interpolate, then you will see the movement, instead of being jittery like this, it'll be a lot smoother. And I think that's what you are getting as well, right? And it's pretty cool that you found that out yourself, because I don't think the tutorial covers that. Okay, so I wish you a good night. I'm gonna get some coffee. Sorry, I mean tea, because I don't drink coffee. I'm gonna get some tea, and I'll be back in about 15 minutes. If you have any more questions, you can post it in the chat, and I'll answer your questions right after I come back. I need a little bit of caffeine now. act, finish, code. So I had a bit of time to think about how to tackle this. I'm just gonna just continue debugging this. Pretty close to an answer. Because the view area is correct, tile count is correct as well. So just gotta figure out why nothing is being added to the result. And we should be ready to go once the array works properly. I think we should be able to get the entire thing to work. Because right now the problem is just that it's just that we need something to loop. We need a set of points to loop through. So if there are no points being added, then you can't loop through anything. So let me just print out the vector2 that is being generated, so we can see which are the areas that are being checked for tiles. And these are the areas. There is a little null reference exception here as well, which is fine. How many points do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm gonna print the points out as well. Print the vector and print X and Y as well. X, Y, and plus the vector. So that's 0, 1, 2, 3. Keeps going to 0, 1, 2, 3. When really it should be moving through, right? 0, 1, 2. Oh, sorry, this is correct. 0 and then row 1. And we're missing row number 2, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2. So the other one is out camera. Is that it? It's out of the camera, so it's not getting hit. So I probably gotta do a +1 as well. Max point, but I'm already rounding up. Do I still have to do a +1 here? Anyway, before I do that, let's just make sure that the results, that we are getting the results. So I'm just gonna print out checkpoints. Print VP here. So I have 8 points being spawned here. It's minus 30, minus 16, minus 10. That's 9.8. 29. Minus 30 again. This time is different coordinate on the y-axis. Let me check where the player is. Player is 0.3 here. 2.2 will be somewhere here. So the points are all there. Then why are there not scans being done? Check without delta. So checked position. I don't need this anymore then. So these are the viewport points, right? Which means I don't have to do any more viewport point conversions anymore. And this should now work. So it's now working, it just needs to check. So now my job is to figure out why the top tiles are not spawning. Takes a little bit for them to spawn. But once they spawn, everything is actually fine. It takes a while for spawning to happen, and I think that's because the viewport points, right, are or is it because of the delta thing? Let me see if I reduce the delta intervals, will that actually fix things? Check without delta. So it seems like upward movement is a bit of a problem. It doesn't always spawn reliably. But left and right seems to be fine. So one thing I can do is just to check this on the scene view. So this is actually offset. It should be offset upwards, right? Because it's all here. And if I move the character upwards, it's does it remove the tiles properly? If I move the character around, yeah, the tiles do get removed. It's just upward motion seems to be a problem. So if I add a bit of a buffer, I think that would be useful. So right now, everything is spawning one step to the left. It's rather silly. So I guess one thing I can do is just do a +1, like a buffer. So whatever the tile size is, we have 1 tile of buffer. So if I just add a +1 to both tile counts, I think that will do a pretty good job at covering the corners, making sure that everything is always spawned. So right here, now this is perfectly square. I think that works now. I'm very happy with the result. But the corners may still be a little slow to spawn sometimes. So we may let's see, how do we fix this? So the easy way to fix this is simply to reduce the checking intervals, but I wanna reduce the check time but still have everything always spawn. I think this works across different kinds of different map sizes. Even if map size is a little big, everything still works great. Maybe it's best to do a -1 and +1, meaning spawn everything bottom corner is always gonna have something. Is there really a need to spawn everything one tile high as well? I mean, if I start from -1 here instead of 0, then it'll make sure that everything behind is always spawn as well. Then it'll be a perfect square, but if it's a perfect square and I set this back to 16, then see we have some extra at the bottom. And then there is that disabling thing as well, right? That disables my terrain chunks. So that's handled by handle chunk culling. Determines whether a given chunk should be shown or hidden. I'm sure there's some double counting for some of the chunks right now. You just move the player around, spawn a bunch of chunks. Where are my weapons? No weapons. Sometimes I spawn with no weapons. And that has got to be fixed later on. Just gonna move the player around and get a bunch of tiles, and then we'll see if any of the tiles overlap. Are there any tiles that occur in the same place? One chunk here, a bunch here as well, bunch here. I don't think I have any that overlap. I think there's some here that overlap. Yeah, there's some that overlap, so the chunk culling logic needs to be optimized as well. Viewport points here is not needed. Cull distance. That will have to be much higher. Cull distance has to increase. And how is the cull distance calculated? So the cull distance, I think, has constantly changed based on what the size of the camera is. Otherwise, changing the size of the camera halfway through the game will affect the cull distance. Calculate the cull distance we'll be working with. So I guess the simple way to do the cull distance would be to get world rec from viewport. So that would be whenever there is size here, you can just get the magnitude of the size. So by increasing the cull distance like this, I think that should solve the issue of the cull distance. Because right now it's gonna be this length here. It's 3. Times 3 is a very big number, which means the cull distance is going to be absolutely huge. So maybe a cull distance of 3 isn't the best thing. What if it's just cull distance? My feeling is that probably will be too small. So maybe a number of 2 will be the most reasonable one. Alright, let's see if there's any duplicates. Tiles. fine so far. These two are fine. This is fine. These guys are fine. Perfect. I think the cull distance there is perfect. Really good. And I hope they all get culled automatically when I move. There we go. So I really like the result over here because I think everything works perfect now. Everything is, there is nothing over here that overlaps. All these also do not overlap. Oh, this one does. Triple. So this guy overlaps. So preventing overlaps is the most important thing with this map generation system. And I'm going to have to increase, I will have to keep increasing the cull distance until I find something that works. So maybe 1.5 is better. Let me just move the player around. And we'll see if any overlaps occur here. No overlaps here. Perfect. Perfect as well. Perfect. Also perfect. And no overlaps here, right? Overlaps here. Overlaps here. So with the correct distance, everything works great. So all the way back in get wall rect from viewpoint, I can just set the cull distance right there. That's all the points. Snap position, spawn chunk, handle chunk. I think everything is in place right now. There's nothing that's missing. So the most challenging part right now would be actually writing the post itself. Not looking forward to that. So with a smaller camera, the rendered area is much smaller as well. This was the plan. So now with this, we can actually go into each of the individual chunks, right? And we can remove the triggers. I mean, the props is still there, the collider is there, but the triggers themselves no longer required. Same for the library. Colliders here are still necessary. Background grid, tile map. We have bookshelves. Colliders here, fine. But there seems to be no need for us to prop. I mean, the prop locations are necessary, of course, but the chunk collider is no longer necessary. It's called chunk trigger, right? So I can label it obsolete, or I can remove it from the project. No problem. Spawn manager map. So the prop randomizer is still used, sortable is still used. Chunk optimizer. It's not used anymore. That can just be dropped. That can be dropped, and chunk trigger can be dropped as well. Chunk trigger is really dropped. It's really removed. So all that's left now is to write an article about it. Not sure why there is a chunk optimizer here. Find references. Nothing is using the chunk optimizer. It's a very half-baked piece of script anyway. No one's using that. The last thing I want to do is to make it so that the script still works if I have like half the size. Like if I have a half camera, for example, I would like it to still work. And you know, the map controller should really, it should be on the, should really be on the main camera, shouldn't it? No, maybe not. But if it's multiplayer, the map controller needs to be doing stuff as well. But I guess we'll work that out in a later part. Map controller. I'm just gonna test out what happens if I change the size of the camera. So let's say if I were to do this, where I change the width, okay. So that means that the game takes up only half. then the map controller should update itself accordingly, right? So the camera is halved, which means that, I mean, now everything is not working properly because I'm getting a lot of repeat chunks. See that? Which is not good. So when the camera is not 1, then thing breaks, which really it shouldn't break. And this, of course, color distance here firstly shouldn't be. And I should never be using pixel rect. This fine, it's correct. Rect min, rect max. Viewport, whoa. This should be correct. Why is everything spawning in place? So it spawns 1 step backwards, 1 step forwards. And then there are some chunks that are spawned. That's because camera is too small. So my cull distance has a problem, right? I mean, no chunks are spawning down, but when I move around, the problem is that because the camera is so small, the cull distance doesn't really work that well. Which means I need to add something else that's configurable. If I increase the cull distance, there won't be any overlapping anymore. So the way the cull distance is calculated needs to be improved, because a flat value doesn't always work. So at the very minimum, right, it should be 3 tiles like this, plus a little bit extra. That would save the scenarios of having tiles spawn over each other. See, it's spawning over each other. So the cull distance cannot be the camera. It has to be Has to be something else. Either it's 3 tiles or the size of the viewport times 3. So the idea here is that even if the camera is small, right, the tiling should still work. Shouldn't be any tiling issue. Like we should keep everything on. So is there any so as long as the culling distance is calculated properly, right, there shouldn't be an issue. So I'm almost done here, and once I'm done, I'm gonna be ending the stream today, and I'll be heading off and writing the article tonight, right after dinner. Let me just move this guy around, ensure that everything is counted for. Let me just spawn a bunch of stuff. Ah, right. spawn a bunch of things, and then we'll check through the chunks to make sure that there's no overlap. No overlap here. Thing here as well. No overlap. Perfect. There's one overlap here. It's bad. Which means you're gonna have to increase the size of this. So instead of having a ×2 here, this will be a ×3. There has to be as much buffer as possible for the cull distance to ensure that the tiles do not overlap one another. So a lot of situations have to be tested. So we're just running through everything. Different parts of the map. So we're just spawning a bunch of chunks over here. And then we want to make sure that none of the chunks overlap one another. There's one chunk there. A bunch of chunks here. All good. Chunks here. All good still. Any overlaps? Let's check. No overlaps. Fantastic. No overlaps still. No overlaps. Surprising. No overlaps. Okay, I think this is doing well. I'll just leave the code base here. I'm gonna make a commit into the repository, and once that's done tonight, I'm gonna write an article. I'll post it on the forums, as well as reply to any questions that appear on the forums. And next week we'll be working on the video for this, and we'll see where this takes us. And then I'll be doing a stream for Vampire Survivors as well next week, and yeah, we'll see where this takes us. Thanks for joining the stream. You're here, and I'll see you all next week.